Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today we're going to be doing 3 Red Dragon Archfiend combos that you need to know to play this deck. This deck is absolutely crazy now that we have the structure deck, so we're going to go ahead and get straight on in this. But before we do, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So for combo number 1, guys, we're just going to have Crimson Gaia in hand. This card is going to be able to summon out some amazing synchro monsters and get a field that can actually OTK your opponent, which is amazing, using just this one card in your starting hand, which is just absolutely amazing. So we're going to go ahead and activate our copy of Crimson Gaia, use its ability to be able to add a copy of Soul Resonator to our hand, and the really amazing thing about this combo is you can do the exact same combo by having Soul Resonator and any one other card in your hand so that you can pay cost for Bone Archfiend, which is amazing. I love that about this, that it can either be this or a copy of Soul Resonator plus any one other card in the hand, gets you the exact same field. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and normal summon out the copy of Soul Resonator that we added off the Crimson Gaia. Then we're going to use Soul Resonator's effect to be able to add Bone Archfiend to hand. Now we're going to use the effect of Bone Archfiend to pay cost by sending Crimson Gaia to the grave to special summon it to the field, which is great because now we have a tuner and a non-tuner on the field, so we can go in for a synchro play. We're then going to use the effect of Bone Archfiend to send our copy of Crimson Resonator from our deck to the graveyard to reduce this card's level by 1. I always like to reduce the copy of Bone Archfiend down to a 3, so that both of these are level 3. So now at this point, we're going to go ahead and synchro both of these level 3s together to be able to summon out Red Rising Dragon. So this card actually gives you a lot of plays in the deck and basically bridges all your combos, and it's going to be one of the first cards you're going to summon out from your extra deck for every single combo just about with this build. So at this point, we're going to use the effect of Red Rising Dragon's ability to bring back the copy of Crimson Resonator that we sent to the graveyard off of Bone Archfiend's ability, which is amazing that you basically just set up the entire play off that one copy of Crimson Gaia. We can then activate the effect of Crimson Resonator to be able to special summon out a copy of Resonator Synchron and a copy of Vision Resonator, which is really cool to be able to summon out both of these to our side of the field. And it's really amazing because if this card and your copy of a Dark Dragon Synchro monster are the only ones on the field, you get to summon out both of those cards to your side of the field, which is so cool to instantly get them on the field. Another really cool thing is this is actually spelled with a K, so it's not a Synchron monster, it's just not going to follow in the archetype, which is really funny, and I love that about this, but it's still like a Synchron. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to synchro together our copy of Vision Resonator and our copy of Red Rising Dragon to be able to summon out our copy of Scarred Dragon Archfiend. Now the effect of Vision Resonator will go off and actually let us add from our deck to our hand Red Zone. Now, if you're not worried about popping cards, you can add a copy of Crimson Gaia to your hand for follow-up if you want to, and that is an option, but I just wanted to go ahead and get the copy of Red Zone to hand, so we already have it so we can pop cards on the field during the opponent's turn, but you can add Crimson Gaia if you want follow-up for the next turn. So we're going to go ahead and add the copy of Red Zone to our hand, and at this point we're going to go ahead and synchro the copy of Synchron Resonator and our copy of Scarred Dragon Archfiend. So at this point we're going to go ahead and summon out a copy of Abyss, then we're going to use the copy of Scarred to be able to let us summon back our copy. Actually, we'll have 2 cool effects right here with a copy of the Scarred and our copy of the Synchron Resonator, which is really, really cool. So the effect of this Synchron is actually going to add a copy of Vision back to our hand, which is really cool because it'll add one of our Resonators back to our hand, and then Scarred will go off and actually special summon out the original Red Dragon Archfiend, which is amazing. If it's used as synchro material, it just lets you get that card out on the field for free, which is super, super cool. So now there's a really cool play that you can actually pull off here and synchro together your copy of Crimson and Red Dragon Archfiend into a copy of Bane. Bane is amazing to be able to summon here because it comes out at 3,500 and you have an extender. So we're going to special summon out the copy of the Vision Resonator to our side of the field because we have not summoned it by its own ability. We've summoned it off of the copy of Crimson Resonator. So now we can actually use the effect of Bane to tribute the copy of the Vision Resonator to be able to summon back to our side of the field our copy of our Scarred Dragon Archfiend. Now, as you guys can see, you have a full field, and it's amazing how many monsters you have on the field. Plus, your inboard is going to have a copy of Red Zone, which is amazing just to get this really awesome feel to be able to establish these plays. Now, a really cool thing about this combo is you can extend it a little bit further if you want to, and go in not bringing this card back from the grave, keeping this card in your hand, and instead of going in for the copy of Bane, you can go in for Dispatter instead, which is going to give you basically some extension plays if you're going first, if your opponent does banish stuff, which is really cool. Plus, if we don't search the copy of Crimson Gaia and we search Red Zone instead, you can then special summon this card out later to be able to go in for more plays, giving you some follow-up during the next turn if you just have Crimson Gaia, which is super cool to keep this card in your hand because you can special summon it on the following turn if you want to, but the best field is still getting this on your side of the field, which is just super cool to be able to establish 3 amazing synchros and a pop, and this is actually a negate, which is really amazing. So for the next combo, guys, I'm going to show you how to King Calamity your opponent during their turn, essentially skipping their turn, with just 2 cards in your hand, which is going to be the Bysteel Rebellion and Crimson Gaia. Now, this is actually a really awesome, pretty easy combo to pull off, and one you really need to know to play this deck. So what we're going to do is immediately send the Bysteel Rebellion from our hand to the graveyard to add our copy of Sawnir that we're going to use much later in the combo. So now at this point, we're going to go ahead and activate Crimson Gaia and do kind of what we did before, adding the copy of Soul Resonator, normal summoning it to our side of the field, searching out the copy of Bone Archfiend, sending Crimson Gaia from our field to the grave to special summon out the copy of Bone Archfiend, using Bone Archfiend's ability to send Crimson Resonator to the graveyard, reducing its level by 1, and then synchro summoning using both of these monsters to go in for Red Rising Dragon. We can then use the effect of the Red Rising Dragon to be able to bring back the copy of Crimson Resonator, just like in the last combo, to be able to set up a really good field. This is basically bread and butter combo of the deck if you open up a copy of Soul Resonator plus any other card and a copy of Crimson Gaia, which is super cool to be able to set up this big field. Now we're going to use the effect of our Crimson Resonator, but this time we're going to summon out some different monsters. We're actually going to summon out 2 copies of Vision Resonator, which is cool to be able to summon out them both to your side of the field. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and synchro using these 2 monsters to summon out a copy of Scarred. Then we're going to use the effect of our copy of Vision Resonator to be able to grab a copy of our Red Zone. Now, this is really cool to be able to set up here because you're basically going to set up some really insane plays going forward with this card. So now we're going to go ahead and synchro using the copy of the Crimson Resonator and the copy of the Scarred Dragon Archfiend to be able to summon out Dispatter. Now, this is very important to summon Dispatter here because it's going to help us out a lot in the long run to be able to bring back a card to our side of the field. So at this point, we're actually going to use the ability of the Scarred to be able to summon out Red Dragon Archfiend, which is what we're going to use to step into King Calamity. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and use the effect of our Sawnir on our side of the field, or in our hand, to be able to banish a copy of the Vision Resonator from our graveyard to summon itself to our side of the field, which is not a quick effect unless our opponent controls a monster to be able to just instantly put it on our side of the field. Now we can use the effect of Dispatter to be able to summon back the copy of the Vision Resonator to our side of the field because it lets us target a banished light or dark monster and special summon it to our side of the field once per turn. Now we can use the effect of our Lubellion that we discarded at the very beginning of the combo, or sent to graveyard at the very beginning of the combo, to be able to tribute our copy of Sawnir to summon it to our side of the field. Now at this point, the effect of Sawnir will go off and send a copy of Intrude of the Branded from our deck to the graveyard, which is going to be very important because we're going to get that card back. And it's kind of like the copy of Branded Regain and Branded Beast, because now we're going to use the effect of the Bysteel Rebellion to put a copy of Branded Beast on our side of the field, which is amazing because during the end phase, this is actually going to go off and put the copy of Intrude back on our side of the field. So at this point, what we're going to do is just set this card to our side of the field and then basically pass over to the opponent. But at our end phase, we're going to have two very important effects actually go off. And both of these are going to be really important. The effect of your Branded Beast will go off, and your copy of Red Dragon Archfiend will go off. And Red Dragon Archfiend has the ability that if this card attacks a defense position monster that your opponent controls, destroy all defense position monsters that your opponent controls after damage calculation. And during your end phase, destroy all other monsters that you control that did not declare an attack this turn, meaning everything on our field gets destroyed. But we have a way to protect it. So we're actually going to banish from our graveyard our copy of Soul Resonator, which I wish was a dark monster to be able to use with Dispatter to be able to protect our cards, because you can banish this card from the graveyard to protect your monsters on your side of the field, protecting all of them with its blanket ability. Then the effect of your Branded Beast will go off to be able to put Intrude back on the field. Now at the very beginning of your opponent's turn, this is extremely important, at the very beginning of your opponent's turn, you're going to use the effect of Intrude to be able to synchro your copy of Red Dragon Archfiend and both your Vision Resonators, or if you brought back your copy of Crimson Resonator, your copy of Crimson Resonator, to be able to summon off your copy of King Calamity. So we're going to use both of these and the copy of the Red Dragon Archfiend to summon out King Calamity. And we can actually chain block it, which is really funny. But the important thing is this has to be Chain Link 1. Because it can miss timing, because it is a win effect. It is just like your copies of Ninja Grandmaster Hanzo or Dark Lord Superbia, if you've ever played those decks, that this is a win effect. So if it's not the first chain link, it will miss timing and it won't be able to activate. So this goes chain link 1 and basically turns off your opponent's entire turn. Then chain link 2 will be your copy of Vision Resonator to be able to search your deck for a copy of Crimson Gaia for next turn, so you can search out another copy of Soul Resonator to be able to go in for all of your awesome plays all over again. But with all these cards on your side of the field, this is 4,000, this is 7,500, and then adding this into it is 10,000 damage on board just with these 3 monsters on the field, not including what we're about to do with Crimson Gaia when our opponent passes back over to us, after them not doing a single thing because of King Calamity. So at this point, we're just going to let them do whatever they want to do, but we also have the ability of Red Zone, so if they do decide to set anything to their side of the field, you do have the ability of Red Zone to pop a card on the field, which is really good, because when your opponent activates a card or effect, while you control Red Dragon Archfiend or a Synchro monster that mentions it, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. So on the follow-up, when you draw for turn, you have this to, if they try to activate anything, you can pop something on the field, like one of their back row or a monster that they set on the field, so you can just swing in for game, which is super cool. And you also can extend your plays as well with Crimson Gaia if you want to get more of an insane board by searching out another copy of Soul Resonator and kind of sort of doing the same thing all over again, just making more damage on board and extending your plays. So for this one, guys, we're going to open up with a copy of Crimson Resonator and Bone Archfiend. And this is an amazing combo because you don't actually open up with Crimson Gaia or Soul Resonator. And I wanted to show you guys that this deck can still make some insane fields without those cards in your opening hand. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to go ahead and special summon out the copy of Crimson Resonator to our side of the field and normal summon out Bone Archfiend. We're then going to synchro these two cards together to summon out a copy of Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon will go off and special summon back the copy of Crimson Resonator to our side of the field, which is an amazing old school combo for Red Dragon Archfiend that you basically have a level 4 plus your copy of Crimson Resonator to be able to get your copy of Red Rising Dragon. We're then going to also use a really awesome old school effect of Crimson Resonator to be able to special summon out 2 Resonators from our deck. We're then going to use the effect of Soul Resonator to add a copy of our Synchron Resonator from our deck to our hand, which is going to help us out a lot to synchro climb into some awesome boss monsters. We're then going to use our copy of Red Rising and Soul Resonator to be able to make a copy of Abyss, but Abyss is not going to stick around for long because we're going to special summon out the copy of the Synchron Resonator and synchro both of these together. We're now going to make a copy of Dispatter, and the cool thing about this is the effect of our Synchron Resonator will go off, letting us add our copy of Soul Resonator back to hand. Now we can use the effect of Bone Archfiend in the graveyard to be able to special summon it by sending our copy of Soul Resonator from our hand to the grave. We can then now use the effect of Bone Archfiend to reduce the level of one of our monsters by sending a card to the graveyard, which is going to be our copy of Awalt, and reducing the copy of the Crimson Resonator to 1. This card is now level 1 because of the effect of our Bone Archfiend. We now can use these two monsters on our side of the field to be able to make a copy of Red Rising Dragon. Now the really cool thing about this is it's not once per turn. That is insane about Red Rising Dragon, is that you can make this card bunches of times per turn to keep going in for more plays, but it's not once per turn. That is insane. So we're actually going to do some quick chain links. We're actually going to do chain link 1, chain link 2 of Vision because it was sent from field to grave, and we're actually going to add a copy of Crimson Gaia to hand. So you still have access to your copy of Crimson Gaia and Soul Resonator in this combo, but you didn't start with them, and you don't have to with this deck to be able to get some insane fields, because this is going to be probably one of the most crazy fields you can make with this deck, besides the turn skip. So this is actually going to be in the graveyard, and we're going to use the effect of our Red Rising Dragon to be able to bring back to our side of the field our copy of our Synchron Resonator. Now that we have our copy of Synchron Resonator, we're going to activate the copy of Crimson Gaia on our side of the field to be able to add to our hand a copy of Red Zone for follow-up play later. Now we're going to actually use another really awesome card, and you guys might be looking at this and going, wait, where's the rest of the cards for the combo? They're in the graveyard, because we actually sent our copy of Awalt to the grave. This card is amazing because you can actually banish a copy of a Synchro monster from your graveyard, which is going to be our copy of Abyss, to be able to grab our copy of Awalt back to hand. And each of its effects are once per turn. So then we're going to activate its effect again to be able to banish our copy of Red Rising in the graveyard, which is why it's important to have two of them in the grave to special summon this card to our side of the field. Now, if I'm counting my levels correctly, you have a 1 and a 1, which is 2, and a 2 and a 4 is a 6, and then 6 plus 6 is 12, and that is 3 tuners, giving you the ability to go in for a really powerful, super, I might say, boss monster, Red Supernova Dragon. This card is amazing to be able to make here. And don't forget about your effect of your Synchron Resonator, because the Synchron Resonator will actually give you some follow-up by adding our copy of Soul Resonator back to hand, which is amazing that you get follow-up for the next turn by making your boss monster. That is crazy. We then also have the ability of Dispatter to be able to bring out our copy of Abyss, because we did successfully summon this card originally and it was banished, and Dispatter can target a banished light or dark monster and special summon it to the field, getting this card back on the field. We then also have the copy of Red Zone that we can set to our side of the field, and with that, that's the field. This is an insane field because your copy of Red Supernova Dragon has 1, 2, 3, 4 tuners in the graveyard, bringing this card up to 6,000 attack points on your side of the field. You have the copy of Abyss, that's a negate, and you can actually even block cards like Dark Ruler No More by them activating Dark Ruler No More, you chaining Red Zone, then chain your copy of Abyss as Chain Link 3 to be able to stop a copy of Dark Ruler No More, which is actually something I do in Black Wings, but with Twin Shadow instead of Red Zone. But now we have Red Zone in this deck, so you can do it here too, which is amazing. Then you have the effect of Red Zone that can actually pop a card on the field, because we do control a monster that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend, which is super cool. Also, you can target one of your cards on the field and destroy it. That's one of their cards, and as the ability, you can target one of your banished Dark Dragon Synchro monsters and special summon it back to your side of the field, which is crazy with your copy of Supernova, because you can actually banish your opponent's field once with Supernova and then bring it back to the field off of Red Zone, so you can banish it twice, which is amazing. I love that about this card, and it's so good in this deck, and it's really cool that you can get an amazing field like this. I love that about this deck, and it's so cool because you do get this as a follow-up, which is amazing. So that's pretty much it for this combo. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. I hope you did enjoy this video and learned some Red Dragon Archfiend combos. This deck is absolutely crazy now that we have this structure deck, and basically just summons out a bunch of really strong Synchro monsters to OTK your opponent and even turn skip your opponent with King Calamity, which is absolutely amazing. And as always, with every combo video and test hand video out on the channel, you can check out the deck profile down in the description down below. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.